Welcome back to Persona 3 FES The Answer. It's time to begin the last area of the Abyss of Time. But first, I forgot from the end of the last part, everyone has something new to say here. Let's start with Koromaru because naturally he won't be saying much. Now Fuka. Yeah, we do seem to be learning a little more about her. I love this line because it could be applied to many different franchises. It seems like angsty robots are just really popular in general. I mean, there's Mega Man X for one. Not too sure, but it does seem like a possibility. Well, not in the PSP version. In the PSP version, you can choose anyone you have a max social links with to hear your last words. There's even an unused variant for Junpei, even though you can't actually romance him. Well, there's both good and bad things in the past. You shouldn't just dwell on all the bad. Well, there are plenty of them. But they were saving most of the reveals about Secrets of Personas for the 4th game. And Akihiko. Yeah, that was a long time ago. You know, if you think about it, maybe all the shadows here actually come from us. And there actually are a lot in the next area, so I'm going to be bringing him along. Firstly, though, I want to go into the Velvet Room, and there's a few fusions that I can do here. And one that's going to be a little bit painful to go through, but I feel like I have to. And yeah, it's slowly coming into view. And yes, she did say journey and answer. I kind of wonder what that's like in the Japanese version, where the 2 episodes are not named that way. I've said it many times, but they're called Episode Yourself and Episode Igus. So, no real philosophical references in their naming there. So, I do have Loki, and I have Hellbiker and Kumhanda, or however you pronounce that. No way am I giving up Norn, so that's not an option. Can get Skahar, though. App Pupil's not banned with Myriad Arrows. App Pupil boosts your critical rate, by the way. But you see Siegfried, I'd also like Siegfried, but nope, no way am I giving up Norn. Norn is just kind of ridiculous at this point. And we're going to have to dip into the triangle spread if we want to do something significant here. I feel like this is the least painful way for me to make Odin, and it's going to require giving up Thor. I feel really bad for this. I really, really like Thor, but... there are quite a few enemies that are weak to electricity going forward. Thor does not have Maziodyne, whereas Odin does. And I can pass down Evade Wind, Elec Amp, and I'd probably like either High Counter or... oh, no, actually, I want Auto Mataru. So, let me just try a little bit until I get that. App Pupil, Evade Wind, Auto Masuku, Auto Mataru is not bad, but I kind of want Elec Amp, even though I'm pretty sure Odin already learns that naturally. That is pretty much perfect. Auto Mataru, Elec Amp, High Counter, Growth 1. I can't put any better growth skill on you, but that's pretty much all I need, so let's go for this. I am so sorry, Thor, but I'm having to give you up to fuse your father. Actually, wait, is Odin even Thor's father in the real mythology? I think so. I know that all of the Loki relation stuff is entirely Marvel Universe added. But we have Odin, and we have the heart item, even though Odin's heart item is really not that great. I describe it during the journey, but it's Droupnir, which doubles the effects of healing skills. The problem with that is that by the time you can fuse Odin, you likely have access to personas that have Medea Rahan, and doubling full HP restore doesn't really do much, so there's no real need for it, unfortunately. I mean, it'd be really good if you could get it earlier in the game, but at the time that you do have access to it, it's really pointless. Now, I do have one more fusion that I could do, actually 2 more. So, I could... This unfortunately means getting rid of Alice, though, before she learns Die For Me, which I think is at level 60 or 61. Because I don't really want Hellbiker as it is, but Abaddon, either Abaddon or Satan Taisei could be really useful here. I don't particularly want Lilith. If I can fuse Lilith's Null Charm and Null Fear onto someone else, then that should be pretty useful for my purposes. Really, the only reason I'm keeping Lilith is because of those 2 skills. And I already have Odin, so I don't really need something with Maziodyne. Although, Odin won't be learning that for a little bit, and that could be useful going forward. But anyway, Alice has Mazio anyway, although I'm fusing away Alice here. Abaddon could be really good for an upcoming boss that uses a lot of physical attacks. Growth 2 is not bad. Abaddon also has a chance of having Tome of the Void, which is amazing. That makes you immune to all mental ailments, which is pretty much all the dangerous status effects, like Rage, Charm, and Fear, Distress, all of that. You're immune to it all, and you eventually null everything physical. But I probably want to save before I try and fuse Abaddon, because I really, really want the hard item if I am going for Abaddon. Satan Taisei, on the other hand, will require me to give up Melchizedek, but Melchizedek, as long as I pass down probably Akasha Arts, Repel Dark, and either Medea Rahan or Oromataro, or God's Hand, then I'm fine with losing Melchizedek. Yeah, Daisoljo kind of does something no one else can. Let me just see what I can make out of just Lilith. Could get Yulunga, but I don't think I particularly need Yulunga at this... I just noticed that. Now, I'm... Pause for sexy... Yeah, don't... my brain is melting at the thought of that, but I will definitely try and fuse Thanatos before the end of the game, because it just feels appropriate to use Thanatos later in the answer, but... I probably won't try and get you now. Who I will try and get, though, is either Abaddon or... Okay, so Surt's technically learned all of his skills. I could try and pass down Ragnarok. That's not a terrible idea. Now, here's something cool about Satan Taisei. I do not need to pass any growth skills down to him, because all of the skills that he learns by level up are ones that I don't really need, particularly Spearmaster. Spearmaster is completely useless for Aegis in the answer, because Aegis can't use spears. And there's no Gunmaster, so Aegis gets no use out of any of the master skills. Okay, I have Ragnarok on you, and I have Growth 1. I actually just realized I don't care about passing down Null Charm and Null Fear, because if you get the hard item, I won't be needing either of those. Here's the issue, though. It took me a while to get Ragnarok, and if you don't have your hard item, I have to reset. I did save before this, but I really, really, really want this hard item. Please have it, 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 please... Yes! 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 I am definitely saving now. Definitely saving now. That is exactly what I wanted. I will certainly take that, and, yeah. I am so glad that I've got that. Yeah, in a lot of ways, Satan Taisei is pretty much the exact same as Melchizedek. I don't really think I need Satan Taisei right now. Even though it is cool having, you know, what would later become Ryuji's ultimate persona in Persona 5. You know, fun fact, when I first saw Ryuji's outfit, I guessed that his persona was gonna be Hellbiker. I was right about them repurposing what was formerly a normal persona to be a protagonist persona, but I was wrong about which one. It ended up being Satan Taisei. Okay, now, I'm gonna bring Koromaru here because he's the lowest level out of my party, but before I do that, I need to make sure, definitely gonna give you the Radiant Halo now, because there are gonna be things that can hit your light weakness where we're going, so you need that. Now, who you bring to this next area isn't all that important, except Akihiko is definitely recommended because a lot of enemies here are weak to electricity. Do I have anything better than the Kaiser armor? Do I have the Demon's Mail? And Eye of Ice is pretty much fine as far as accessories go. Mitsuru, I might want to give her some better armor, and not just because I want to see her new victory animation. Oh, who am I kidding? The only reason I'm giving Mitsuru different armor is because I want to get her old victory, well, old by the sands of the answer, but I want to get her original answer victory animation back because it's amazing. Okay, let's go. And my cat's just gone on my lap, so this should be a good test of how sensitive my microphone is. Let's hope that it doesn't pick up her purring. But anyway, we're heading to the final door in the Abyss of Time. This one is Empyrean. We've actually gone from the lowest circle of hell to the highest circle of heaven, a pretty big jump. This is the one door that is not named after one of the circles of hell. It's actually named after, like I said, the highest part of heaven, where, according to, I think, Aristotle's philosophy, is supposed to reside the elements of ether. In Dante's Divine Comedy, it's a place where beings are made of pure light, which is actually kind of understandable when you look at the designs of all of the enemies in this section. So, once again, that black figure is still showing up, and we have this art style again, and it really makes sense here, but what's also amazing is the music. They've removed almost all of the percussion. It's just very soft and it's pretty amazing what they do with the music here. It's not really what you'd expect from how dramatic the music got earlier.
There's one enemy.
And I'm going to have to interrupt this discussion of the emotional music for talking about probably my least favorite enemy on this floor, the Change Relic. I feel like this thing was maybe a boss in the journey, but I forget exactly when. I'm gonna switch to Dice. Actually, I probably should have switched to Norm. This thing has some pretty powerful wind attacks. Like that! And I want to get the scan through, and then I'll probably be running.
Wind doesn't seem to work.
So, like a lot of enemies in the answer that are annoying, it has a ton of HP and is immune to instant death, but this thing takes it one step further. It has no weaknesses, a lot of HP, immune to instant death, and can fully heal itself with Diarahan. I just like to run from these things. I just find fighting them is just a giant waste of time, and I don't even want to have to deal with getting them down to low HP and then having them heal themselves. Just see, like, that much HP, and pretty resilient to some of our attacks too. And having Diarahan, no, sorry. Thankfully, they only ever show up in groups of one, so it's pretty easy just to run from them. There are a few enemies in this area that only show up in groups of one, but I suppose I can get into discussing the music when I have less new enemies to talk about. We have here a set of enemies that make me wish that I kept Thor, because Vicious Strike works wonders against them. These things are all weak to strike attacks, and when is Akihiko? Oh, he's going second, this should be fine. Oh, wait a minute, you have Vicious Strike too. Okay, I guess I'll go with you, but first I'll just get the scan in. Just so that Akihiko knows to not do that, to just punch them. Because punching them works a lot better. Unfortunately, Mitsuru tends to use Mind Charge when she has nothing better to do. And that wastes a bit of SP if the fight doesn't last long enough for her to actually make use of Mind Charge, or if she's fighting something that's immune to ice and thus her Mind Charge is useless unless she also shills out for Ice Break, which she'll be learning in a few levels. But yeah, these things are some of the weakest enemies on this floor, and level 62 being the weakest thing on this floor is definitely an issue. I still feel like I don't need to grind all that much for this area because it's not as big of a step up from the last one, and I feel like my party can mostly handle it. I say mostly, but yeah. As long as I kill off these things before they... Well, that was unfortunate. I was hoping that you'd knock them all down, like Garland. But as long as I kill them off quickly before they use too many of their attacks, there are some pretty dangerous enemies on this floor. Like, there's some that have some pretty strong instant death skills. There are others that have Megadola on, others that have Mind Charge and Megadola on, others that have God's Hand. Yeah, a lot of powerful enemies.
2 enemies left.
I think for now I'm just going to, not a bead chain, because that'd be a bit of a waste, but how many regular, yeah, I'm just going to use a regular bead on you, just to make sure that you don't waste your turn healing. Just punch these things, please. Well, you're probably going to, nope, you're not going to waste your turn healing, nice, except you're probably going to attack this thing again. Unless it outright dies, which is good, because it means you'll attack the other one, and this thing might actually outright die, because Akihiko now has Fistmaster.
I'll do my best until the very end.
Let's hope you can make good on that promise. And someone leveled up. Melchizedek, which is not that useful because you've already learned everything, but still, extra stats, I'll definitely take that. And everyone levels
My
up.
skills
Nice
have
one.
improved.
My skill level
This
has
music,
increased.
though, it's just... It almost feels like you're about to reach a horrible truth. That's the feeling that I get from it. But also this sort of sense of finality. Okay, we've got these things again, but they're now accompanied by an Amorous or Amorous, I don't know how to really pronounce that, but Amorous snake. And the annoying thing about the Amorous snake is it's weak to dark, which means that it tends to die before I get a chance to scan it, because Koromaru, his first instinct with a new enemy is usually just to use Mudaon, and with this thing it tends to hit, so yeah. The snakes can also show up in groups of 4, and that's where Koromaru's Mudaon is pretty funny. They tend to be the almost every snake-type enemy in the answer or even the journey is exactly the same.
It has multiple
They just use
weaknesses.
often Hummer, charm skills, and they can heal their allies. So, yeah, there's not that much variety in these snake enemies. And thankfully, I got the scan through before Koromaru's turn came up. And I'm fine with you doing that, except, yeah, you tend to run through your SP pretty quickly. Which is not so good because there are enemies on this floor that are weak to fire and are pretty dangerous, that I'd actually like to have Koromaru on hand for. Because at the moment, I think the only fire skill that I have on my personas is Ragnarok, which is very expensive. Okay, hopefully this fight should be over before Akihiko gets a chance to do something bad. So, let's do this. Smash you in the fists of justice!
More enemies.
Literally, because, yeah, Melchizedek is the ultimate persona of the Justice Arcana in this game. He didn't keep that position for long, though.
The enemy is
I think it
getting
was it Sarosha in 4? I know that, I remember, like, what the ultimate one of the Justice Arcana looks like in 4, but I forgot its actual name, and I know what it is in 5, but I probably don't want to say what it is in 5 because, I don't know. I mean, it's not that big of a spoiler, but, I mean, it was a little surprising when I found out that one was Ultimate Justice in 5. And here we have, like I said, there are quite a few enemies that can show up as singular shadows, and this thing usually doesn't show up as a singular shadow.
Give me a sec.
This thing also has no weaknesses, though. So, yeah. There are a lot of enemies on this floor that have no weaknesses. And also a lot of the enemies here look very light-based and sort of almost angelic-looking, which fits with what it's named after. Natural Dancer. I'm sure this was a boss in the journey as well, although I could be wrong about that. It has some very strong physical attacks, unlike a lot of other dancers, but like a lot of other dancers, it has some annoying status skills. So, see, they were at least a little bit creative with this. Wait a minute.
Here, just
You're not
one
resistant to
enemy
strike
left.
at all. I can finally do this.
I need your help.
Every time I use this skill, I just picture,
He's getting
I just picture a Hallelujah chorus going off, like a Hallelujah smash! Because that would be pretty funny. Goddess boots, okay. I have a feeling Aigis can't use those, so... And I have a feeling they're female only, so that would mean Mitsuru is the only one here who can use these. There we go. Wow, those are really good. Evade Magic High. I might save these, though, because the boss coming up is not going to be a good fight for Mitsuru. You know what the heck, I'll put them on you, because I've given Yukari a lot of favoritism lately. And let's grab this. A lot of yen. Now, I should mention something. I am not going to be buying new weapons at all for my party. And there's a good reason for this, which we'll find out once we get to floor 25 of this place.
There are 3 enemies.
But let's just say it's much better to grind floor 25's guaranteed rare chests than to buy any weapons at this point. So we have the White Sigil and 2 Void Giants. The Void Giants were a Monad enemy back in the journey, I know that much. They're also really annoying, but let's see if they're equally annoying here. This thing is also pretty bad too. It has Megadola on, I believe, and it's weak to fire, but it can hit you pretty hard if you don't hit it with fire early. So that's what I'm going to do right now, because I want to scan these other things first. I forget if they actually have the same kind of repel skills they do in the journey, but... And a badness still looks pretty freaky in this game.
Keep it up.
Freaky slash also oddly funny.
Won't go down. Defeated. I command thee.
Yeah, it still gives me flashbacks too. Like, there's a boss named Abaddon in one of the Castlevania games that looks completely different to that. I have a feeling that's not going to work. Yep, repel. Thought so.
It seems strong against strikes.
Yep, you are pretty much exactly the same as you are on the journey. Drain everything physical, but you do have vulnerability to magic, and they've got a lot of strong skills. Yeah, these things are... They were Monad enemies in the journey for a reason, and here, they're Final Dungeon enemies for a reason, I guess. Well, thankfully Zero still works. Not so thankfully, if you get shocked, that's going to do nothing, because we can't capitalize on that. Good. Okay, now Aigis is going to... yeah, I still have Norn, obviously, and because you're not immune to wind,
Enemies left.
I've actually found that Norn is a really, really strong persona in the answer, which is fitting because it's not easy to get Norn. You need to find all 3 of its requisite components individually. But if you do, there aren't many enemies I find that are resistant or immune to wind in the answer. And having easy access to both boost and amp. So like, because I use all 3 of the fates in their completely standard states with absolutely no skills passed down to them at all, just their starting skills, and I was already able to get both boost and amp onto Norn. Don't even need to go for Meteor-Rahan here, just a Meteorama. And I may need to pause for a second to blow my nose because my cat was just on my lap and she's just got off, so yeah.
There are 5
I do
enemies.
kinda have a cat allergy, but some cats set it off worse than others. I know that when we were in the pet store getting this cat, I know there was another cat that the instant they brought it into the room, I started sneezing uncontrollably. So I was just like, nope, nope, not getting that one. Definitely not getting that one. So yeah, I do kind of have a bit of a cat allergy, but it's worth it for yeah, I love the cats that I've had. Unfortunately, one of the enemies is still up, so yeah.
Defeated an enemy.
Although not helping my allergies at the moment is the fact that the weather is still weird. It's the start of, well, actually, it's almost the end of autumn. Well, it's a little bit over the middle of autumn where I live, and it's been hotter than summer, strangely. And they've been doing a lot of backburning. Not sure if backburning is commonly done outside of Australia. It's a way of controlling bushfires or forest fires via intentionally burning certain parts of the forest, but in a strategic way so that the fires don't have enough fuel to spread in certain directions. And they do that quite a bit in Australia when it's bushfire season, and because of that, the air gets very, very smoky, and apparently that's set off a lot of people's allergies, including mine. Okay, I forgot we were still on the first floor. I think I should get off the first floor soon. Oh, Gold Shadow. And it ran right into me, even though it's probably going to immediately flee. This is obviously the strongest form of Gold Shadow that can appear in the answer, the Glorious Hand.
If you get into trouble, run.
And I actually killed it on my first try. That's surprising.
I can sense your determination.
Glorious Coin. Again, only useful for money, which at this point is probably... Well, I mean, I would say it's only useful for armor, but even that, we're getting really, really high-level sword cards in Shuffle Time, and these... I kind of feel like with these really strong sword cards, we don't need to go to the shop for armor very much. You can just grind for good armor here. I mean, of course, you've got a lot of money, you might as well spend it, but I kind of wish that you could buy gems, because that would give money a bit more of a use, and that would mean that you could actually buy some of those useful items like homunculi and I guess level it up. But yeah, what I was saying, homunculi, attack mirrors, magic mirrors, mega dollar on gems even. I still have one of them. I'm saving that for an emergency. You certainly want to give me a lot of these singular shadows. Are we going to see something new? No.
There's one enemy.
Because there is one other type of enemy that I know can show up in those. It's a tower. And I kind of like to see that because it's actually not a hard enemy to fight, at least compared to the stupid corner. There we go. It's not that hard of an enemy to fight compared to, and here it is. Okay, good. Just start talking about it, you show up. Fanatic Tower. Now, I know this thing was a boss during the journey. Definitely remember this thing being a boss. And the Fanatic Tower, if I remember right, it likes to use Electric, and it is... Oh, that's it, yeah, so it does have the Fear Ghastly Whale combo. This is the enemy that I remember on this floor because the Lilith that I fused totally invalidates its strategy, because Lilith drains electricity and is immune to fear... Well, I fused Null Fear onto it. So, yeah, nothing it can do can really do anything apart from Electric. But it repels a lot of things. Notice one element that it doesn't repel, though? Yeah. It's Norn time. I thought you'd do that, so that means that you've gone to level 61 at least. And these elemental break skills are kind of useful against certain bosses, but anyway. Like I said, it's Norn time.
Just one enemy left.
So let me just show for perspective. This is just Garula, regular old Garula. Over 300 damage. Because Wind Boost and Wind Damp is amazing. Okay, that might be bad. And thank you, Mitsuru, for kind of being smart with what you just did. I'd hate for you to not use Bulgadine after that.
I couldn't finish it off.
I have noticed that the Fanatic Tower, against most elements that it is not immune to, it tends to take a lot of damage. It's not weak to anything, but as you can see, it's not particularly resilient either. If Magaru Dine is doing that much, just imagine how much Pantaray is going to do. And that's a lot of experience for a single enemy. Thank you so much for that, that's amazing, and Alice is once again one step closer to die for me. I don't need Evil Touch, no, I'll get rid of that. Yeah, die for me is 60, as I thought. Yeah, unfortunately I don't have any growth skills on Norn, but, I mean, really, do I need it on Norn? Norn is just getting enough experience as it is. Okay, only one more level and then Pantaray, which with Wind Amp and Wind Boost, I mean, I may even end up keeping Norn all the way to the very end. Because Norn is actually pretty amazing. Odin, on the other hand, needs a little bit of work. You do have Auto Mataru, so might want to just leave with you for a little bit, even though Melchizedek also has that. I still love Auto Mataru, it's just... Against bosses, it tends to wear off quickly, but against regular enemies, it's kind of amazing because it boosts the power of all-out attacks to an absurd extent.
I need your help.
Actually, why the heck was I using Vicious Strike before? Akasha Arts costs the same amount of HP and does even more damage. Because it's a multi-hit attack and has a high critical hit ratio. Yeah, that's actually kind of weird that both that and Akasha Arts cost the same, like Vicious Strike and Akasha Arts, even though Akasha Arts seems to be a lot better. So I'm going to do the unthinkable and actually go for a cup card. They're usually my lowest priority, but I didn't particularly want Loki. I like that they actually made Loki the ultimate Full Arcana persona in 4. Definitely fitting at that title. Another Gold Shadow, which I don't really need, but I might as well try and fight it anyway.
A surprise attack! There's only one! Wow! You're all so powerful! That was amazing!
There are a few enemies that we still haven't seen yet, actually quite a lot of enemies that we still haven't seen yet, including one that never even showed up in my practice runs, that would be the Grand Magus. I thought you were a Purple Shadow. Okay, this could be really, really bad. I might end up running from this fight. These things look pretty cool, though.
You've surprised them.
The Grudge Tower.
Give me a sec. I'll scan the target.
They do have some powerful fire attacks, if I'm remembering right, so let me just check what I've got in terms of resistance to that. Okay, Abaddon nulls that, but I have a feeling they might use ice. Well, I guess I'm going to go for Abaddon now. Hope this doesn't come back to bite me. And yeah, Weary Thrust is kind of, and I think that one of the descriptions of Weary Thrust is actually wrong, and that I think it's actually slash, not strike. I forget, like, one of the things that it's a slash attack, something says it's a strike attack. Well, good thing you're immune to that.
Careful, the enemy's strong.
So, like many Purple Shadows at this point, they have no weaknesses. Okay, at least Wind works on them pretty well. And they have, I was worried that you had Megalodon. And they have Mind Charge Megadola on, and they show up in groups of 4, which is terrifying. I might just have to run from these things.
Still 4 enemies left.
Because they are pretty resilient, and they hit very, very hard. I can try and kill them. But from my experience, I found that even Megalodon doesn't do, from Norn doesn't even do that much. Yeah, see, not all that much. I'm kind of playing with fire here. I'm sort of confident that Igus will not die, but let's see, there's Margidine. Okay, one of them is Mind Charged. 2 of them are Mind Charged. That one's been Liquidine. I'm glad that your Eye of Ice activated. Okay. 2 of them are Mind Charged, and while I do have Magic Mirrors, I'm pretty sure that if I try and do that, they'll just Megadola on me, so goodbye. Not risking this at all. Yeah, if that escape did not succeed, I probably would have wiped. Entirely. As in, like, not just Igus would have gone down, everyone probably would have gone down. Let's go for another Mediarama, I guess. So, yeah, that's the Purple Shadow here. It's pretty dangerous. It's something that I feel that if you're at a higher level, it won't be much of a threat, but at the level that I'm at, it's not something that you want to be fighting.
There are 3 of them. Strike first.
So here we have White Sigil and King Castle. I saw these earlier, so I guess let's scan the King Castle.
I'll scan the target.
Those things are both weak to fire, and when is Koromaru going? He's going before them. Actually, wait a minute. Let me see if I can do that, just so that Koromaru knows to hit them. And I'm pretty sure the King Castle is actually immune to wind, so for now I'm going to not attack with Norn.
Electricity doesn't seem to work on it.
Actually, it could be weak to wind. No, but I have a feeling it's actually, Okay, so the White Sigil repels Slash, weak to fire, drain ice, and it has Mind Charge Megadola on, potentially, and also Mamuda on. So, definitely something that I want Koromaru to get rid of as quickly as possible. Please hit the other one. Thank you. Even though we won't be able to get an all-out attack this turn, probably, we will at least... Please tell me that wasn't the one that goes... Well, if it was the one that went 5th, it's dead now.
sec. I'll
So,
scan the
King
toilet.
Castle, and... I just want to make sure that thing stays down. I really don't like it when they use Megadol on. It hurts a lot, and I would rather not take that risk. I suppose Abaddon learning Ragnarok actually kind of makes sense in some ways.
It's weak against Garu skills.
I had a feeling you were weak to wind. So Draenor Repel Strike. So this thing is basically Akihiko's worst nightmare. Except that it can't really do much damage to Akihiko in return unless it goes for God's Hand. Or Electric. But yeah, Akihiko can't do much of this thing. There's also an enemy on this floor that's Mitsuru's worst nightmare. Actually, wait a minute, no. That was the thing that just died. The white sigils, because they drain ice and repel slash. So, how fitting that we had both Akihiko and Mitsuru's worst nightmares in the same fight.
Just one enemy left.
And I'm just gonna just go Garula. This could actually kill it, possibly, because Norn is just that strong.
The enemy is
Oh,
down.
almost.
Now's your chance.
I feel like that probably could have killed it. It just was a little bit of unluckiness on the damage roll. I think there's probably a bit of randomness in the damage in this game, and there definitely is.
The enemy is getting stronger.
Off the top of my head, I don't know the exact damage formula for this game. That should be the 8 experience card. There we go. Yeah, you get a lot of experience out of here. The issue with Daisojo is that the very, very late game is going to be almost entirely bosses, which makes Daisojo pretty useless. So I might have to fuse him away eventually. Now, did I go ahead and buy some Dispoisons from the store that one time that I... Discharm... Doesn't look like I have any Dispoisons. Except, wait a minute. I forgot that I still had the bloody horse in my inventory. I just realized, though, that I do have Amrita. 25 SP just to cure poison from one person, though, is a bit overkill, but oh well. Like I was saying, though, I might have to fuse away Daisojo before the end, because Daisojo is not that good against bosses. Okay, one of the things here is
There are 2
new.
enemies.
There's a lot of enemies here, and there's only going to be even more enemies past the halfway point. Amenti Raven. I have a feeling you show up somewhere in the journey that's memorable, but because I remember that name. Either that or in Persona Q somewhere, or in Persona 4. Maybe you're in Persona 4. Because I remember the name Amenti Raven, I just forget exactly where they appear. That's funny, I think that would have cured you from panic if you weren't yourself too panicked to use the skill. So, weak to electricity, repel fire, and uses some fire attacks. This thing's not really all that strong. Especially if it does that, like an idiot.
How did it dodge that?
Okay, let's... This might be a good opportunity to use Odin. I know, I went through so much trouble to fuse Odin, and now I'm not really using him much. But that will change once I get Thunder Rain. Although, yeah, that's a,
Well done.
that's an Elec-amped Zeodyne, which is very, very strong. So Odin will eventually become the electrical counterpart of Norn. I think yes, there's Rafa. I still like to call him that sometimes. I guess only because, I hear that a lot because my family tends to watch the Australian Open tennis whenever that's on at the start of the year, and that's what the commentators frequently call Rafael Nadal. That should not have hit. It looked as though the bullet curved in midair.
There's one enemy.
And goodbye. I am just not going to give you that the pleasure of fighting me, because you're not worth it. There's still a few more enemies that we haven't seen. And the boss is going to be on floor 8. Actually, no, wait, no. The boss itself is floor 9. Floor 8 is the save point floor. I did promise I'd talk about the metaphorical aspects of what I think the answer represents later, But I'll be doing that in the second or the third part of this dungeon. I guess I should probably talk now. We are approaching the very end of the answer, but before we completely finish up Empyrean, there is a little bit of cleanup that I want to do. I will need to grind floor 25 for certain weapons, but also I want to at least beat the Reaper once, probably still with the cheap method of using Thunder Rain, just to show that I can do it in the answer, even though there's no real practical reward. Oh yeah, here's that giant group of Amora snakes that I told you about. Anything with Mamuda on tends to wreck this. Okay, Koromara levels up, and let's just keep going. So yeah, I'll probably just try and do a few things. There is actually a rare... So, the next subsection of Empyrean, and this is a new enemy by the way, and it's one that anyone who played the journey hates with a passion. You. Yes, you have returned. One of the most infamous bosses in the journey is now a basic enemy. And it's actually lost a lot of its tricks. It mainly specializes in just Almighty here, rather than also using fire and hammer, and just generally being a huge pain.
I couldn't finish it off.
You won't be able to beat it with strikes.
So immune to strike, strong against everything else physical, strong against fire, not immune to wind, so once again Norn rules here, and it does have God's Hand and Vicious Strike, and Life Drain, and immune to instant death. So, as I said, not as dangerous as its boss version, but it's still not something that you want to underestimate, because it does have Vicious Strike and Mega Dollar on. I think Norn should be able to finish this. I'm gonna check Norn's status after this and see how close she is to learning, I mean, really I should call Norn they, because it's actually three beings. Anyway, that is an 8 card. I want that, because it also means I'll get closer to Panzerray. I wasn't talking about you leveling up, I was talking about Norn. But yeah, the next subsection of Empyrean has 4 different purple shadows. 3 variants of Cyclopses, and then there's one particular enemy, also these things are new.
2 enemies. You've surprised them.
One particular kind of purple shadow that is level 99, and is effectively a secondary bonus boss along with the Reaper. So I might want to show that purple shadow at least
2
once.
enemies left.
I don't know if I'll be able to beat it at, like, without getting so over-leveled that I'll trivialize the final boss, but I want to at least attempt to fight it. So these things are weak to electricity, but they also have Evade Elect, which is really annoying.
Finish it off.
Yeah. It's like they're a boss here or something. Well, at least the one that's up is
It's weak against
panicking.
electricity.
And has Magarodine and Vicious Strike. It's really not that much of a threat, apart from the fact that it's really annoying to take down because it has a lot of HP and has an evade skill for its weakness.
Keep it up.
Okay, this had better hit. She didn't call out Odin, so it probably dodged. No, it didn't. Good.
The enemy is down.
The enemy's down. Let's
No, that's distress that makes you unable to dodge. I don't know what panic does for your evasion rate. I know it makes it so that you're more vulnerable to being critical, but I'm not entirely sure about if they, Well, at least you were the one who was panicked. Tentarafu sometimes actually does things. You know, I just realized something. This might mean that Mitsuru's finally got rid of marrying Karen. It's a little bit too late, though, since we're already at the last dungeon, but oh well. Speaking of a little bit too late, Fuka should be learning Escape Route very soon.
There's one enemy left.
Okay, it does not repel Pierce,
Good luck, everyone.
so I can safely do that. Good. Keep forgetting that you're panicked, because Odin would have been weak to that. You weren't worth a lot of experience, though. Okay, good. And Marzeodyne, that's going to make it a little bit more convenient if I ever run into you again. But Thunder Rain is the thing that I really want. Thunder Rain is the thing everyone really wants because it is, well, I was about to say that it's the most broken skill in the game, but there is Armageddon. I still feel like, because the personas that you need to use Armageddon are so high level, at the point where you can get Armageddon, you're already at a point where almost every boss is no threat anyway.
Watch out. There are 4 enemies.
Don't really want to fight a Void Giant now. So it's not really as game-breaking as you'd think, because yeah, sure, you can one-shot bosses, but bosses aren't much of a threat to you at that level anyway. Oh, okay, both of these are new.
Attack.
Battle Wheel and Hallowed Turret. Hallowed Turret is weak to electricity, so
I'll scan the
I
target.
can safely ignore you for the time being.
I need your
Because I
help.
can just do this and make sure you don't get a turn.
Keep it up.
Thankfully, I don't think you have a
You've
Veda Lek.
improved.
Don't mess with me.
And let's see, I forget the Battle Wheel scan for a second.
Careful. The enemy's
No weaknesses, I had a feeling, and immune to light. And it also has God's Hand, like a lot of enemies here. But, I mean, considering this area is named after a circle of heaven, kind of makes sense. If I remember right, the Hallowed Turret repels everything physical.
That's the last one.
I'm pretty sure I've got that right, actually. So I need to wait for it to show up again before I can confirm that, but I think it does repel everything physical. 9 weapon cards, though. Well, I think that was 1. Good. Demon's Mail. Yeah, I say weapon card, and they're almost always armor or accessories here. Seriously, Norn is so overpowered. Concentrated for a moment there because I wanted that 9 experience card. But I actually did use a precious egg on Aegis in that fight
My skills
because this is the last dungeon. I mean, there's no real reason to
My
hold back
skill level has
anymore.
increased.
And I needed her to have more SP, basically. I've got a lot of Somas too. Those definitely suffer from, I mean, some people call it Elixir Syndrome, like the Elixirs in Final Fantasy, that you just feel like they're so rare, and yet, and you avoid using them just because they're that rare, so you get to the very end of the game and you have a whole bunch of them, and then you don't use them against the final boss because you're like, oh yeah, they're really, really rare, I don't want to waste these. Oh wait, there's nothing in the game left anyway, so I might as well use them now. Except in Final Fantasy 15, where you can just buy elixirs at shops for very, very cheap. Yeah, I think I only ever died once or twice in that entire game because they are so generous with healing items there, and they're also generous with the effects of healing items. As in, like, almost, like, most of the healing items you can get in 15 fully restore your health or fully restore the party's health, so as long as you just keep spamming those, you're almost never at any risk of dying. Yeah, I finished that game semi-recently. It was a fun game, and now I can finally
There are
scan
two
that
enemies.
turret, just to confirm my suspicions.
Give me a sec.
But,
Scan the
like,
target.
it was enjoyable. The side quests, especially in the world. Like, I normally am not as big a fan of open world games, but I actually kind of like the world of that one, even though a lot of it is just generic forests. It actually felt pretty characterful, and I like the side quests and stuff, but there were a lot of things that, I don't know, like, it was so easy to get crazily over-leveled for
It's weak
the
against
actual
electricity.
plot. And yes, I was right. You repel everything physical. And level 70 on Aegis. Only 10 more levels, and we're at the level you're expected to fight the final boss at. But yeah, as I was saying, see, I'm not sure whether I'm gonna make a My Thoughts On video for FF15, or if I save that for if I do a thoughts on all the games that I played this year later on. And now, would you kindly die for me? We've finally learned that. I don't need Fatal End. Repel Dark could at least be good fusion fodder. And sadly, I probably won't be using Die For Me on Alice herself, because I'll probably just be passing it down to another persona, but I was just saying, yeah, I don't want to get onto too much of a tangent of discussing another game, especially since, like, you know, it's one that I recently played, so my thoughts on it won't be current if you're watching this video very far into the future, and I like to keep my videos... I like to make it so that you can watch my videos and still enjoy it no matter when you watch them, but, what I was gonna say was, I had the misfortune of playing it just before King's Edition came out, so I just missed out on a whole lot of extra content. So anything new in the King's Edition, I would not be able to discuss if I did my thoughts on. We're almost at the boss now. But anyway, it's just... It's funny, like, it's probably my least favorite Final Fantasy, but only by default, because I still like it. I don't actually dislike the game at all, but I just like it the least out of all the Final Fantasy I've played, and that includes 13 and 13 too. But I actually like those games.
This feeling. This has to be.
And that's all we've got to say for now. So we've got another boss coming up. I will be bringing Akihiko and probably Koromaru to this fight, but not Mitsuru. So I'm going to have to go back and swap her out for someone else. Probably either Metis or Ken. Actually, maybe Ken, because there's going to be some electric weak enemies here, even though I did use Ken for the last boss fight. So let's head back and save. This part probably took a while because I had fusion and quite a long dungeon area with a lot of enemies, but we are approaching the end of the game, so I hope you are okay with the fact that there's a longer part. I would not, again, like, I would personally not like to split up a trek into the Abyss of Time into, like, multiple parts, because that would just feel a bit awkward. I like to end parts whenever I get back to the dorm. So, I will see you next time for the first boss of the last area.